This is CoAgent, a learning management system with extended agentic features to support a student's learning experience. The whole system was architected, implemented, and reviewed entirely with GitHub Copilot. Bringing this idea to life would require weeks of planning, months of iteration and development, but let me show you how I got the project running in just a few days. GitHub Copilot CLI brings a powerful agentic coding experience into your terminal, and this is where we start. First, type /model to select a model that's best suited for the task. Next, we'll enter plan mode to create an implementation plan before we write any code. I'll share a brief description about the project, and the agent in this mode will ask some follow-up questions like the stack of choice, preferred providers, scope of features and functionalities, and any other information that's relevant to gain a clear picture of what you envision. The coding agent in plan mode goes off and creates a practical implementation plan, which you should review and iterate on to achieve an accurate reflection of what you want the agent to build. Coding agents produce better results when given the right context and very clear instructions, and so this plan should provide that. By default, a plan.md file with a full implementation outline will be created for you. And after reviewing the plan, switch back to agent mode and have the agent implement it in phases. Now, what I like to do is also build out my own project documentation as the agent continues to work. So I usually ask it to save the implementation plan and the outcomes for each phase in a dedicated file in my docs directory. In this case, I start with research to ground the project's architectural decisions based on a deep comparison between different services, stacks, and approaches. Next is the project setup phase, which I always ensure to thoroughly test before moving on. I was particularly impressed by the implementation of the overall project setup and the Docker configuration, which worked in the very first attempt. A quick note here is that for best results, ensure you have the Context7 MCP server added to Copilot CLI so that the agent can pull up-to-date docs and code samples. Phase 3 is the core backend implementation. We have our API server, the connection to our embedding model that's hosted on Microsoft Foundry, vector search implementation, document processing for course material, etc. This phase, I did struggle a little bit to get the agent to write the correct implementation, but what helped was providing a direct link to a Foundry quick start with the actual SDK and API version that I wanted to use. But now looking back, an even better approach would have been to give Copilot access to the Microsoft Docs MCP server. This way, the agent would go off and find anything it needed. The last phase is building out the frontend. And I feel like the frontend design was really inspired by the long-term vision I have for this project. So the time that I spent working with the agent in the plan mode at the beginning was definitely worth it. We have a clean login page with email password authentication, and once you're in, you can view your courses, and for each course, you can upload your course documents, whether lectures, notes, or extra reading material. You are likely thinking that this is already implemented in existing LMS platforms. You are right, but the difference here is that when you upload a document, the content is extracted and passed to an embedding model, which converts it into its vector representation. This means that in our DB, we store the course document plus the content chunks and their corresponding embeddings, laying a foundation for the agentic functionalities. Okay, let's see what the student experience learning with AI would look like. You're preparing for an assessment and you want to quiz yourself on certain topics. And so to help with that, we have the flashcard feature. How this works is that you select a course, click Generate Flashcards, and this will use the GitHub Copilot SDK to generate a set of question-answer pairs based on your course material. Let me repeat that in case you missed it. You've seen how powerful the Copilot CLI has been throughout this project. But beyond just building the app using the CLI, you can now build that app to use the same CLI architecture to power its own agentic functionality. So we use the Copilot SDK to initialize a Copilot client, then create a Copilot CLI session with the model and the tools that the agent needs, and pass this along with the system and user prompts. Given that this is a specialized agent for a specialized task, I also provide a skill document with more specific instructions and context, including the expected workflow, output format, error handling, and further guidelines. The app will use models already available in your Copilot subscription. So this means you will have agentic functionalities without having to sign up directly to a model provider. Now you'll see our app using the SDK, and we have provided some MCP tools for the agent to talk to our data, and in a few seconds, the content generated is displayed in the flashcards and you can start your revision session. Given the underlying architecture for language models, you can expect that a different set of questions will be provided with every run. The other supported feature is for coding practice that's required in one of the courses, and the student can access a list of extracted coding exercises from the course document. If your goal is to master basic syntax, then this isolated environment without any IntelliSense or autocomplete could be useful. Two things can happen here. One, you could type in your code, and the app will use the Copilot SDK to verify your answer, and if acceptable, it will mark the exercise as complete. This helps you keep track of your completion of the exercises, which would be difficult given that they are in a PDF document. Two is that if you're stuck on how to address a given problem, through the Walk Me Through feature, the SDK will again kick in and help coach you through how you can break down the problem and basically guide you through the steps that you need to arrive at a solution. I'll call out that in the skill document, we have provided instructions for the agent to only give helpful feedback and guidance and not just spit out the answer. And this will, of course, create an environment that pushes the student to activate their critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Lastly, from the terminal, I'll kick off a code review, and since we haven't initialized these projects, the agent will offer to help with that. Once initialized, it will then do a comprehensive review of the local changes and give a report on what needs to be fixed before you push. That's a quick walkthrough of the experience of building software using Copilot CLI and the SDK, and I hope you get to try it out. If you're already using it, let us know what you're building and how the experience is so far in the comments. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.